I call the meeting to order. Community Development Director Smith, would you please take roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Wygand,
Here.
Commissioner Monroe,
Here.
Commissioner Lane,
Here.
Commissioner Welch,
Here.
Chair Riggs.
Here.
And it looks like Krista is joining us right now. We'll grab her on the next one.
I have a similar amount of regular pasta and good food. I think I have more regular pasta. Good.
All right. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's meeting. We value our residents and community members, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to participate and provide input can do so. This meeting is available live via the city's website by clicking on the video link at cityofcarver.com, or you can join remotely via Zoom conferencing services and provide input. Information relating to joining the Zoom conferencing services can be found on the city's website or attached to the agenda for this meeting. We ask that anyone wishing to address the commission wait to be recognized by the chair, be respectful, and wait for your turn to speak, and don't speak over one another. Callers will still need to provide their names and addresses for the record. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I moved.
Jim.
Jim.
Second.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Can I have a second to the motion?
About seconds.
All right, any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Wygand to approve the agenda, second by Commissioner Welch. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Wygand,
Aye.
Commissioner Monroe,
Aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Aye.
Commissioner Welch,
Aye.
Chair Riggs,
Aye.
and Commissioner Goodell.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approve the minutes, November 19, 2020 minutes for the Planning Commission meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the November 19, 2020 Planning Commission minutes?
Commissioner Monroe will make that motion.
Can I have a second to the motion?
Second by Commissioner Welch.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Monroe to approve the November 19, 2020 Planning Commission minutes. Second by Commissioner Welch. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Wygand,
Aye.
Commissioner Monroe,
Aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Aye.
Commissioner Welch,
Aye.
Chair Riggs,
Aye.
and Commissioner Goodell.
Aye. I don't go to Universal Studios.
Thank you. Motion approved. Next item is business, new business, Hammers Property Concept. Development Director Smith, would you please present?
Let's put that in a different view. Alrighty, thank you, members of the commission. Tonight we are reviewing a concept plan for a new development on the Hammers property. I'll give you some details and then I'll open it up for questions. We also have Jason Palmby, who's part of the development team, here with us tonight, so I'm happy to take questions along with Jason. So tonight we are reviewing a concept plan, which is the very first step in the process. So like it says below, there are a lot of unknowns about this property. So we might ask some big questions, and a lot of the answers tonight might be, we'll get back to you, or we'll think about that as the project progresses, or just straight up right now, we don't know, because very limited work has been done to put a concept plan together. A concept plan is the developer's first blush try to figure out what a development might look like. It's a good time for them to get general feedback from the Planning Commission and City Council. So tonight there's no formal action, just feedback to the developer. So some of you might remember this slide from our Planning Commission 101. You'll see up at the very top, there's the woman with the light bulb above her head with an idea, and that's where we're at tonight. So starting with the concept plan, this is a good representation of all of the steps that would need to happen for the project to move forward. So From concept plan, you'll see this one has a little detour even, that annexation would be required. The Hammers property is not currently in city limits, so we would see annexation before preliminary plat, and then moving into final plat. To the left is our Chapter 42 subdivision section of our city code that rules this process, so if at any point you have a question about where we're at and you're looking for some more detail, this is a good place to start. But again, very early in the process, really conceptual in nature, lots of unknowns on the project. General information about where we are talking about. I have the comp plan as well as just a location map up on the screen now. So the property is directly west of Meridian Fields, which is the D.R. Horton project. It's directly north of the Song Farm, or the property we know as Timber Creek that we're working on right now, south of Highway 212, near Carver Elementary. You will note that during this project, there will need to be the extension of Monroe Drive, which is currently just a stub to feed Quick Trip and Meridian Fields, so something that the Hammers group is working on with the Timber Creek group. So something that's interesting is that both of these projects are happening simultaneously, so they are working through Monroe Drive together to figure out construction of it. You'll see on the city's comprehensive plan that the property is guided for low-density single-family, which the proposed project will meet. The concept plan is on the screen now, so it's 68 65-foot lots, so you'll see some zoning details in the minimum setbacks for single-family. Based on these setbacks and what we know about the property right now, this is really close to our R2 zoning district. So Meridian Fields is zoned R2, so it would be generally an extension of what's happening in Meridian Fields. And then if you think about Timber Creek, the concept that we saw, it's a mix of townhomes, but then also single family, which I think will hit close to that R2 district as well. So pretty similar in area around the property. On the concept, you'll see that there is a very extensive wetland on the property, so the area in the center is largely not buildable. Will make for some beautiful views from most of these lots, but a challenging part of this property. So we've seen a couple concepts from a few different developers, but this has always been the challenge of the site, is this large wetland. You'll see here that there will be access off Monroe Drive, as well as through Fields Drive, which is the existing street in Meridian Fields, and then it loops around to another extension to Monroe Drive. And then you'll see on the westerly property line, there is an additional access moving into the Lenzen property, which is in the township, not currently developing, but having that stub there will open up some development potential should the property owner choose to develop in the future. Here's what the plan looks like with the map superimposed. So again, you'll see Fields Drive leading into the development, Monroe Drive, future construction, dipping into the Timber Creek property, and then back up to serve the Hammers property. So the builder for the project right now is proposed to be Brandel Anderson. It's a builder that we have not seen in town and that we currently do not have in town. So it's always exciting to get someone new in with our mix right now. Some examples of what the homes look like. So traditional 2 stories largely with three stall garages. This project has a long way to go through the planning process. If you'll remember back to that first slide showing the road that we'll need to travel should this project move forward. So the next steps for this project specifically is review by the City Council March 1st. They'll be doing the same review as you are tonight, concept plan only, giving feedback to developer, nothing formal. At that point, the developer can take the feedback from the Planning Commission and City Council to determine if they would like to move forward with applications for annexation, which is required to give us land use authority in the city of Carver, and then preliminary plat, which is the really heavy lift for engineering, and that's where hopefully all of the unknowns that we might have at this point can be answered via engineered plans and preliminary plat. So again, tonight, conceptual in nature, giving good feedback, asking questions. We'll try our best to answer questions if we have it. Otherwise, we'll let you know the next time this project comes around on some of the questions that we might have tonight. So I'm going to switch back to the Zoom screen so we can see each other. I'll open it up for questions, comments, discussion. Again, Jason is here with the development team. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer questions as well.
I guess I'll jump in first. This is Commissioner Welch. I just remind me again on the density requirements, is R2 the medium, or is that the lowest density housing per acre or per whatever
Sure.
unit we measure them in?
So our residential districts start at R1 and they go to R2. So,
Okay.
or sorry, R4. This is R2. R1 through R4. So R2 is largely single-family homes. Duplexes are permitted. The big change between
Okay.
R1 and R2 is that the side yard setback goes from 10 feet between the houses, or 20 feet total, to 7.5 or 15 feet between the houses.
Okay, and then this would still meet the requirements that the Met Council density, right? We have those, okay, rules, good.
So that's a big question right now, not knowing
Okay.
like the area for streets that will be taken out and then the wetland. Once we get a more
Oh, sure.
technical review of the site, we'll get what the density proposal is. So you're right that the Met Council requires across the city of Carver, we need to have a density of 3 units per acre. Most of our projects can meet that just based on what the market is providing right now, but it is something that we will keep a close eye on just to make sure that we don't fall really low on a project, because then we do need to pick it up elsewhere, which can be challenging.
Sure, and then I guess the last question I had about the wetlands is, I know also with our, the watershed district, so this would be in, we have two different districts in Carver, right? This would be the mini, not the, it doesn't drain to the Minnesota, right? It's the other one, or am I getting
So
confused?
the jurisdiction, the watershed district, would be the Carver County WMO.
Okay.
And they, when we get preliminary plans in, they do a full review as well. So they'll take a look at the wetland, provide comments to the developer, and their comments will be worked through just like city staff comments are.
Sure, and I guess the good news is that large wetland gives them a lot of leeway in terms of all the water use. So obviously we'd like the developer to keep as much as possible, and like you said, the nice pretty views of the pond in your backyard. So that's all I had for now.
I have a question. This is Jim. What's in that northwest corner?
Sure. So I'm gonna pull. So we're gonna double team this a little bit here.
I wasn't seeing your screen before, Erin. I don't know if you were sharing it.
Oh, was everyone else seeing my slides?
No.
No,
You
sorry.
all should have told me that. I ran through a beautiful
We missed seeing your
PowerPoint.
face earlier.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you poor thing. I just thought it was my iPad.
Oh,
Just
wow.
Oh, you're
function.
doing great.
Oh, all right.
I was just looking at it on my phone.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
I
a
was
practice
on
run.
this.
I'm going to
Following
do it
along
again.
that.
I'm mad at all of you for not saying anything. I said several times, like, on my screen is.
Oh, wow.
We're like, you're
See, on
looking
your
at it.
Oh, that's funny.
See, on your screen, you should see.
Okay, I'm gonna try this again, and you all are going to speak up if it is not working. I can't
Okay.
believe you all just let that happen.
I just
Okay.
thought I didn't know what I was doing.
Here we go. Let's try that.
Nobody
Ooh,
wants
that
to
looks
pick
better
on your
already.
mother.
Okay.
Oh, you
I see.
all.
Oh,
Yay.
there. Oh, that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the slides this time.
Just a practice run the first time.
Well, how did it sound? Do I need to work on anything?
Great. No.
No.
Good.
I could
Okay.
envision it.
We know where we are in the
You-
process.
You followed the memo. I mean, the information we got in the packet, so
That's
it worked.
good. I wrote that too, so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the beautiful slide that I was talking about with the
Oh.
woman with the light bulb.
Oh.
Okay, so we're really early in the process. It's just an idea right now. You'll see throughout this entire slide, it shows the additional steps that we'll need to take. This project has the little detour that you see now, which is annexation. And then to the left is the subdivision chapter of the city code. So it lays out our process, creates the boxes we need to check as a group to move forward with development. Okay, I'm trying really hard not to be sassy and sarcastic during this. I'll get back into it. Okay, on my screen now is a snippet from the city's comprehensive plan that shows the property in light yellow, which is the city's low density single family. So the project does meet that requirement. And then location, just west of Meridian Fields, north of Timber Creek or the Song property, south of Highway 212, near Carver Elementary. And here's the concept for the first time. So you'll see on the screen, it's 68 65-foot wide lots. The wetland in the center, a pretty large piece of the property, a stub moving west to the Lenzen property for future development. Jim, I'm going to use your question as a catalyst for my next comment. So you'll see that there's a couple areas on this concept plan that look a little bit wonky that you might not be familiar with right now. So first is this area, which is not included in the general layout of the property. So on the site, there are 2 existing home sites right now. So you'll probably see these next time you're driving on 212 and fully remember what I'm talking about. So one is here and then one is here. So the property that is closer to Meridian Fields, this is what we call a ghost plat. So here we have a layout of what the lots will look like in the future when this property owner chooses to move forward with a project. So right now, not considered as part of the project, but when they do say, hey, we're ready to go, we have access to utilities and a street for them. So when they want to sell their property, it gets added into this neighborhood. Jim's comment of this property to the west, again, a remnant piece where ghost platting was a little bit trickier. We've had a pretty extensive conversation with the developer about what happens to this one, what happens when this person wants to sell. And it's our intention at this point that when potentially Lenzen develops, there could be some type of cul-de-sac that takes this property as part of development in the future. So this property is a bit more landlocked, where we felt like ghost platting was important to do today, where this property has some opportunity as Lenzen continues to develop.
Is that house on the 123, is that the red, white, blue house? The flag house?
No, that one's on Meridian Fields.
Okay. And then what are those white line dash kind of things?
These ones here.
No? Like there's one on 1-6
It
between
looks
8
like
and
little
9.
cars.
So it's
Oh,
the
they're
elevation.
topographical.
So it's
That's
just the
elevation, I
topography.
think, right?
You'll see where it
Yes,
gets pretty
ma'am.
steep here.
Got it.
They're contour numbers.
Yeah.
I kind of thought they were Monopoly cars too, so.
It kind of feels like Monopoly, right? Like, we'll take Amherst property. So here is the concept plan with our map underneath. So you'll see the connection to Meridian Fields. You'll see Monroe Drive here is the connection with Timber Creek. So the 2 groups are working together from Monroe. In general, it dips down into the Summergate or Song property quite a ways and then picks back up for the Hammers development. Wow, I can't believe
And then you show a town road there too. Is that a future?
So as part of the Meridian Fields development, Town Road was annexed into the city. So we needed it for access up to this outlet that we have for a well. So it's already in the city. So just an extension up gives access to the Hammers property.
And it's named Town Road?
It is today. I think with this next project, we'll likely rename it. Nothing's addressed off it at this point.
Okay.
It was Town Road when it was used for the Song driveway. So, or it was maybe Township Road and we switched it to Town for some clarity. So here are the graphics that I was talking about. Randall Anderson options. So traditional 2-story, largely with 3-stall garages. There's a variety of different styles of the home, but just a general feel of what they'll look like. And then I already stepped through next steps. So now that we've been through it twice, let's open it back up for discussion.
With a lovely presentation.
Thank you, Jen.
Just as I imagined it in my head.
This is Krista. I just think it's nice to have another developer with interest, so you're not always looking at the same house and the same design as you go from one development to another.
So this is Chair Riggs. I have, I guess, a question similar to the Meridian Fields development, where we have a couple of homeowners still part of, as you mentioned, the ghost plots and so forth of staying there. So I guess on the north part of the development there where I guess it's, I don't know if that's zone 1 or what, but the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is all their access going to be part of within the development? Obviously, no access from the 212 frontage road side of things.
Correct. So long-term, we believe that that frontage road will go away as we continue to develop areas. So it's used as an access point for the exception on Meridian Fields right now, and then this property as well. When both of those properties change or develop, we anticipate the frontage road will disappear.
Are those existing houses, are they gonna be annexed or not at this
So,
time?
no. At the time, this property can carve out to be part of the township. This one can as well. We typically require at time of annexation connection to city sewer and water. So it gets a little bit tricky with existing homes if they want to make that decision or not.
I have something I'd like to bring up concerning our comprehensive plan
Sure.
and our housing section. You know, we have a section about housing that looks to ensure for all price ranges, you know, for a diversity of housing. And part of it says, encourage or require residential developers to include affordable housing as part of development proposals to create a range of incomes in the community. I'm wondering if this is the time to bring that up, or are we actually implementing that at all?
I would say, yes, it's one of our goals. It's not something that we can require without some type of city contribution usually. So if you think about like Carver Ridge to do the TIF project, we had a requirement that a certain number of units were affordable. So to a degree, we can encourage it and work with developers to hopefully get a price point that feels welcoming for all. But to the degree of requiring it for this property, it gets a little bit tricky. Which I'm going to segue at this point. If Jason, do you want to give some detail about the houses?
Yeah, that's what I would
types,
like to hear
prices?
Jason's view on
Absolutely.
this.
Commissioner Monroe, thank you for the question. We've done some extensive review of the area, and with these houses, we're probably going to be starting in the low 400s and into the mid 500s. That's probably where we're shaping up to be. It's with it's expensive to build. Land's expensive, and
I'm aware it's expensive to build. It's also expensive to live here, and there's a lot of people who can't.
Yeah.
I will add maybe
Thank you.
a slight glimmer of hope is maybe the townhome area in Timber Creek, that there might be some more opportunity for a different housing type just south, but something that we're continuing to work on as a goal. But like Jason said, materials are really expensive. Land in Carver is really expensive. So still trying to figure out some of those strategies that might work for us.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
thank you.
I have another question. This is Commissioner Welch. So now that we have concept plans for both basically north and south of Monroe, what does it, I'm trying to think of this. Is the traffic studies enough so that we know when we need to connect it, right? Because we're starting to get, I mean, just a year ago, they had just put in, and now we've got, 3 or 4 new housing developments that have pretty significant housing. How, I remember we did part of a traffic study. I'm just wondering if that needs to get updated, because maybe it's moved a little faster than we thought, or at least I'm happy. I'm not complaining. I'm just, when we need to make it connected through to County 43 or some other outlet.
So that's a really good question. Something that we've worked on pretty extensively as a staff is making sure that Monroe Drive works, since we're seeing commercial development, but then also pretty extensive residential development off of it too. So we have designed the road that it can carry development moving west. Our comprehensive plan also does a lot of that work. So at this point for this development, we don't think a traffic study is required specifically for this one. You'll remember that Timber Creek also required an EAW, or an environmental assessment worksheet, and they had a traffic component that showed Monroe can carry the number of cars with
Okay.
Timber Creek. So working with several plans together, we are confident that Monroe will operate the way that it should at this point.
Good, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any proposed timeline?
Jason, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, what we'd like to do at this point is gather comments from yourselves here and then the city council on March 1st. From there, we'll factor that in and probably proceed with putting together preliminary plats. Concurrently with that, start the annexation process. Annexation process would take place first, followed by a preliminary plat hearing. Based on that timeline, it would probably be sometime over the summer, if all things go according to plan. That's the timeline that we're looking at as far as breaking ground. Sometime mid to late summer. Of 2020.
That just seems fast, but I kind of have no concept of time, so.
So
I don't know, this last year.
Is that just in the last year?
I'll add a little bit of
I fully
perspective to that too.
honestly.
So, should they move forward with annexation and preliminary plat, staff works on those pretty simultaneously. So, annexation has a pretty long review time with the township and the state, but during that 60-ish days of review, staff is usually working towards preliminary plat approval at that point. And then once a developer has preliminary plat approval, they're able to start grading. So a project can often look like it starts a little bit early just with some earthwork happening, or new home construction can't start until final plat. So some grading might start this summer, maybe with construction a little bit later in the season. But yes, what is time? It's not real anymore.
Just,
Kind of feels like
Yeah.
that.
this is.
I just have one comment and one question, I think. So my question is, on the two existing homes, so at any time, can they choose to be included? How does that work?
So with our orderly,
Like they could right now, if they wanted it to be?
they could, yes. So our orderly
Okay.
annexation agreement sets the standards for how to make an application to the city and township. At that point, they are subject to city taxes, which is generally a little bit higher than township, but they also usually
Sure.
have the availability of sewer and water. So something that we need
Right.
to often figure out for some of these remnants is how we're going to serve them. So that's where ghost platting becomes a pretty handy tool in our toolbox, just so we can get out ahead of it, have stubs in the street when those lots are ready to go.
Yeah, just proactive
Right.
approach. Okay, great.
Well, for-
Yeah, and I agree with the variety of builders. I think that's really exciting, and that land looks really interesting to work with. But I also agree with what Cindy said about, I just hope at some time we have a variety of price points for our community. Because anyway,
This is
looks good.
This is Commissioner Weigand. Actually, originally, we thought right next to the highway would be a better spot for,
That's what I was thinking.
and it just seems to be going the other way.
Yep.
The other, so we are stubbing, actually, the northwest corner, that one would seem to be a little difficult. Like you said, it would require the Lenzen property. So those people are gonna be potentially that way for a long time.
They could be.
Lenzen sells. Another kind of related question. Have we hit 5,000 yet?
We had.
To us, yes. To the Met Council, no.
Because I was looking at census numbers yesterday, and census had projected in 2019 that we hit 5,000. But
I would say
Met Council hasn't,
that's probably accurate. And then last year, 2020, our final building permit count for new home starts was 166, which is wild. So we definitely have an influx of new residents coming our way. Other questions?
I'm
or
excited
feedback?
about this project. I think this project looks real good. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I was worried with the whole craziness that things would slow down. It seems like things have sped up a little. So with all the pandemic and all that stuff, I'm glad businesses seem to be relatively moving on. So that's good. Things get back to normal.
Agreed.
Hey, Aaron,
Yeah.
can you put up, and I won't talk long, I promise. Can you put up the project right next to this project again, together? You know how they're like side by side?
Yeah.
Because the only thing I'm looking at is the difference from how it backs up to 212.
Yep. So let's go to,
Okay, I can see that a little bit better.
oh man.
Hmm.
Come back.
What row?
How's that one?
Oh,
Okay, good. So you see how those lots, like, and this is, I understand once we get, past, when we get to preliminary, this will be a more detailed question, but I'm just looking at all of those lots backing directly onto 212. Like from a, landscaping or noise reduction or whatever, that looks really close.
It does. So if you'll remember with Meridian Fields, knowing the proximity to Highway 212, a noise study was required. And we worked with DR Horton for some berming, some pretty extensive landscaping. And then they were required to use higher grade construction materials on several of the houses directly next to 212. So I anticipate that same process will probably play out on this property, just knowing that maybe COVID isn't the best time to look at some of these houses when the highway is really quiet. And if things pick back up, Highway 212 can be a little bit noisy and busy. So we'll move forward the same way we did with Meridian Fields with the noise study.
Okay.
One other thing to keep in mind, in the future, what is the likelihood that 212 will go to 4 lanes directly behind that
I was just gonna,
development?
yeah, I was just gonna ask that question with the anticipation of the expansion of 212 now going west, how much of that impact is it with the lots right there?
Yeah, a really good point. I would say that reinforces our position to have berming, landscaping, increased construction materials on the lots adjacent to 212.
Aaron, if I may interject,
Sure.
and I completely forgot about this point as well. If you zoom in on our development, the lots that directly abut the frontage road, we highlighted on this concept plan, although it's not, we haven't gone into a great deal with it. But our intention is to do exactly that. And you see that little strip along there of created some vegetation, so to speak. But we anticipate doing some pretty extensive landscaping back there, or some buffering, if you will. And my apologies, I completely, it slipped my mind as we were starting this, but that's, our intention is to address that as well. And to Erin's point, she had made a comment about the adjacent Horton development. They were required to do a sound study, and we've anticipated that as well. And we'll react to that accordingly.
well, will there be any access to the wetlands and ponds as far as walking trails, or is that just in the backyard of the people who border on it?
At a staff level, I would definitely love to explore that idea, just knowing that it's probably something a little bit different. We don't have some of these marshy wetland areas readily available in a lot of the property, so something we can explore with the development team.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments, feedback?
I guess I just like to second that idea of like a walking trail or something. I think the new trail from the Hawthorne Ridge right down through the kind of hill forest, that's really cool. We've used that a lot. So, you know, anything to get more accessibility in the community, taking a walk around there, I think would be a great idea as well.
Great. Thanks again for presenting, Jason, and help on answering some questions there.
And thank you to you all. That was some invaluable feedback, and we look forward to continue working with this project in your city. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, any type of communications. Commission members have the opportunity to provide updates.
Go ahead, Reed.
Okay. I had just a general question now that working from home and having internet access seems like way more important than I thought it was a year ago. I mean, so just in general, is there anything we can do in terms of getting, you know, we have so much open land and so many new houses coming in, getting in fiber or more telecommunication options for people. I mean, I think as a developer, that would be a great selling point, saying, I know people who I work with are specifically moving to places because in downtown, there's like a 2-block section where they have a fiber internet, right? So they got like 2 gigabit internet. So I don't know if we qualify for any of those like FCC rural. I'm not sure what the cutoff there, but I think we definitely have an opportunity to set Carver up for future, you know, I mean, as this is demonstrated, I couldn't think I'd be able to work from home like this for a year, and it's different, but I mean, I think things would be more like this going forward. I think hopefully companies will just give people more flexibility. And I think that would be a big selling point and something that if we can push, you know, I guess for power and water, you don't have much choice of picking, but you know, telecommunications seems to be the one thing where there's not a monopoly and you can get some competition, but somehow there's none. So I don't know. I just throwing it out there.
Agreed. That's really, I think, important feedback for a lot of communities right now, and something we absolutely would be open to. If you'll remember, a couple of years ago, we worked a bit on like 5G technology and how that would work in the community. We haven't heard from projects since that time, but I'd like to think that the ordinance that we drafted is business friendly and something that we could support in the future.
Didn't when the county put in its fiber line, partner with I'm trying to think, was it Jaguar?
Jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And are they still out there trying to hook up private homes?
Yeah, but it's mostly rural that they go for. Because I mean, I've tried to contact them a couple times, and they're not available like here in where I am.
They are in parts of Carver. Like I'm communicating over Jaguar internet right now. So we have Jaguar and Comcast, and I think CenturyLink changed their name. But so we have 3 options, and so Jaguar is being pretty aggressive. They're starting on the north side and going south. But I think almost my entire cul-de-sac in my neighborhood is on Jaguar. They've been since bought out by MetroNet, so that's the company that you'll probably hear in the coming month.
Well, they're not coming to the east.
Or to the south.
Well, they might get to the south, but I don't think they're going to get to the east.
They haven't been expanding. I mean, they've been talking about it for years. I think there's someone in the neighborhood who was really pushing it, and they ended up getting a connection, and then it's kind of branched off from there, if you will.
Yeah, because I kind of thought that was like supposed to be one of the perks of the county putting in that fiber loop, was that eventually we could get, you know, residents could get on it. And apparently some have.
Yep. And just another update, 212 is actually scheduled to start construction to 4 lanes this year from Carver to Cologne.
Wow.
You'll see one of those kind of intersections that Cologne has. I forgot I think sometimes they're called a Michigan left at 43 and 212. So that and Jonathan Carver Parkway will be under construction at the same time.
Wee!
But
Yikes.
212 isn't scheduled to be under a full closure at any point during their construction. So that's a 2-year construction project, I believe, for 212. So.
Okay.
Now, behind this development, or on the 212 side of this development, it is 4 lane, isn't it?
There's a transition, I think.
Yeah.
A little further down. I'd point to it, but you wouldn't be able to see it. So it's a little further to the west that it transitions.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think the eastbound lane is one lane, and then just after it splits to 2. But the westbound lane looks like it's 2 lanes shrinking to 1 right about that same time. At least when I zoom in on the PDF. Yeah, it looks like it's just eastbound is just 1 lane there.
Any other communications?
I'll give a
Dr.
quick
Smith,
update
anything?
about Timber Creek. So probably something that you're all wondering about at this point since we haven't seen it for a while. The annexation has been approved, so the property is now in the city of Carver, which gives us land use authority to make decisions. So to do things like grant preliminary plat, rezone the property, work through final plat. I am anticipating that the project might come back to this group in April. I would say if things continue going the way that they're going right now. I'll also say I'm really excited to show you some of the work that we've done on the project. We've been working really closely with the development team to redesign some areas that we felt were challenging or a little bit clunky. And then we are working on a really extensive trail system through the development that I think will be fun and exciting and similar to the work that we did on Hawthorne Ridge with some different trail sections that hopefully will add to our robust system to have some good outdoor entertainment for all.
That sounds great.
That's a development, isn't it?
What was that?
Isn't that a really big development?
So it's 349 units right now. So preliminary plat will hopefully have a really good handle on phasing, so how it might come in, how many years it might take, how they might take down the different phases depending on the types of homes. Right now, I would anticipate that the townhome area might go first, so that would be great to get some townhomes in our market.
Yeah.
And then moving south and west in the future.
And you're addressing any neighboring homes concerns?
So, yes, I like to think so. We're holding a neighborhood meeting with Copper Hills next week, so the neighborhood directly adjacent to Timber Creek. We're having a developer city neighborhood meeting. And then from that meeting, I'm going to put together like a frequently asked questions flyer that we'll have available for the mailing area for the entire preliminary plat rezoning area, as well as hopefully on our city website available to everyone just so we can all share the same information.
Just to refresh my memory, so we do a rezoning and then a preliminary plat in 2 separate meetings, right? We don't combine them typically.
I typically run them concurrently, just
Okay.
so then the
Okay, that's what I thought.
what every city does it a little bit differently. My philosophy and motto is that I like to figure most of the big issues out at preliminary plat, so then we can there aren't any big surprises between preliminary and final. So rezoning it requires the public hearing. You can usually knock that out at the same meeting.
Okay. Okay, good.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, this looks like a fair amount of water wetland for this area, how much wildlife uses that? And what will happen in the future?
So from the information that I'm going to use is probably the EAW for Timber Creek. So the property just south,
Good idea.
something that needs to be considered. Are animals both those that migrate and those that do not. And based on the EAW, there wasn't a concern about habitat removal. I think with Timber Creek, something to remember is that huge ravine area. We had the opportunity this fall as a staff to walk that area, and it is large. So hopefully most of the wildlife in that area finds home in the ravine, which will be largely untouched, where these areas that are mostly farm fields hopefully don't have impact to different animals.
Any other communications, comments?
Yeah, I just have a few updates if that's okay. The city council is going to be doing their strategic planning session during the first week of March, over 2 days. So we're excited about that to get a refresh. One of the items from the last strategic planning session was a new website, and I'm not sure if any of you frequent it, but Brenda Good did a really awesome job of leading the city's team on that. So if you want to check it out, it's laid out a lot better. There's a lot of resources on there to use. And I think it provides a really great kind of front door for the city for all the information and kind of background on city projects that someone would want. And then speaking of projects, it seems like we've been talking about it forever, but the construction crews are ready to start on Jonathan Carver Parkway in 6 weeks or the first week of April. So if you think about that, that's not too far away. Bolton and Mink is leading the communications on that project, and they're going to be giving the city council an overview of the communications plan for this phase of the project. One thing I'll work with Aaron on sharing with the planning commission is they're going to do a kind of an animated flyover of the project that shows the detours and when they're phased in, and then kind of a finished project, so you can get a sense of what the project will look like when it's done. And speaking of kind of changing the front store or front of the store entry, that'll, I think, give Carver a whole new face, looking at the extensive landscaping and kind of streetscaping along just with traffic flows that you'll find with that. And then another follow-up, I think Jim had mentioned about population numbers. The Met Council has a cutoff date of March 31st, so they run their population number from April 1st to March 31st, and they're always a year behind. So last year we finished at 4,990. And some of you know that at 5,000, the city receives state aid street funding. So we'll go over that number significantly this year. But then for 2022, we'll have access to an estimated 300,000 in state aid funding for our city street system. That could primarily be used on collector roads within the city. There's quite a few stipulations for how that money's used, but at the end of the day, it's still $300,000 for our roads, which is a really great opportunity for the city. I think that's all I have. I'm happy to. I haven't been to a planning commission meeting for a while, so I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
I can't believe you came to the one where I didn't run my PowerPoint.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, it's like, how are you showing them this?
Yikes.
But I didn't want to interrupt your flow. So
Yeah, that is like,
None of us wanted to.
right. So Minnesotan of all of you, like, just let her finish.
Yep. You betcha.
Just one random thought too. Speaking of technology, how are you all participating in this meeting? Are you using your own devices?
Mm-hmm. I am.
Yep.
Would it be a benefit? I know. So the city council has iPad Pros which are, I think they're 11 by 17. They're bigger, they're an oversized iPad. Would any of you or all of you be interested in that if we put together a budget for that, or is that would that be redundant for you with your existing technology?
I think if I was a council member and had more meetings, I would, but just as a commission member, I'm fine with my iPad.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean,
Right.
I don't think the city needs to spend money on that.
I would think you should have some available if there are people that require it. I mean, we don't want to keep people off commissions or even
Right.
off the council.
Oh, for sure.
And I think
Good idea.
I think we have some available, but I think Brent is talking about maybe an upgraded model.
All right, I'll take Cindy's and I'll have dual screens then.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I've
would
known,
need one personally, but I think it's a good idea to have like a loaner laptop or iPad or something like that. I think that's an excellent idea.
and we have.
Yeah.
I was just going to share. I've known Sydney for 11 years, so I'm used to just doing whatever she says without asking.
It's not true.
Well, that's good. That's good feedback to get because there's usually opportunities and sometimes grant opportunities to get some of that technology. And if we're operating efficiently, then there's no need to pursue that. So.
Just take care of that river.
Yeah, we did. That's another. I don't know if folks had heard that, but the city received $150,000 from the state to start work on a certified levy. So
Oh, good.
the city has to match that. So it'll be $300,000 worth of, and I know it seems big in this kind of context, but for the overall project is about 11.2 million. So we're going to be doing $300,000 worth of engineering. So that's survey work, soil borings, meeting with residents along the levee system. And we were fortunate enough the Lower Minnesota River Watershed District is going to match the city's match. So $300,000 project, $150,000 from the state, $75,000 from the Lower Minnesota Watershed District, and then $75,000 in local funds. So a really good start for partnerships on a really significant infrastructure project for the city. So you and others and throughout the community are going to start seeing a lot of information about that project. We're going to really start ramping up communications, have a project page on the website. I think we already do, but we'll be updating that more frequently with more work to be done. So it's always seemed like a little bit of a urban legend, like one day we could have a certified levy, and there have been enough things that have happened within the last year or two where I feel pretty confident that, you know, within the next 5 to 8 years, we're going to have a project. And I know at least, you know, two of the folks on here, Jim and Cindy, have been working on that for probably 20 years or more. So
At least.
hear that we have reason to believe that this could come to a conclusion and have a certified levy and take folks out of the floodplain. You know, I'm sure we all could talk about the impacts to the economic development and housing in the downtown. So some really, frankly, some exciting things on the horizon here in the city.
For sure. That's great.
Are you going ahead with the four-way stop on 40?
We are not, or the city council decided not to do that.
Four-way stop. Wait, at Main or Broadway and 40?
Yep.
All right, anything else?
They wouldn't second my motion.
I was waiting for that from you, Glenn.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Kind of a motion to adjourn.
Monitor cover.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Can I have a second? Can I have a second? Can I have a second to the motion?
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Monroe will or Commissioner Weigand will second.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Welch to adjourn, second by Commissioner Weigand. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Sure. Commissioner Weigand,
Aye.
Commissioner Monroe,
Aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Aye.
Commissioner Welch,
Aye.
Chair Riggs,
Aye.
Commissioner Goodell.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you all. It was good to
Thank
see you.
you.